Hello there, everybody. I'm terribly privileged to have the honor to once again call from the dugout, number 7, Mickey Mantle.
Mickey Mantle was a mythic figure in American and baseball history. On the field, he hit 536 home runs, won 7 World Series, 3 MVPs, and a Triple Crown in 1956. It was less the stats, but more the experience of watching him that stuck with a whole generation of baseball fans. The way he swung from both sides of the plate so gracefully, the way he dipped his shoulders when he ran around the bases. All of this was imitated by young boys across the country for an entire generation. That number 7 just fit so perfectly, and he looked so good. The swagger of his smile could never be forgotten. But underneath this mythic portrayal of Mickey Mantle, there was a sad man who indulged in the excess of alcohol and women offered to a superstar in the 1950s and 60s. He rarely saw his family, drank excessively, and was rampantly unfaithful to his wife. Below Mantle's perfect exterior and the party exterior, there was another, deeper layer of Mickey Mantle. A layer of a sad man who dealt with tremendous pain. The pain was from critical injuries that would make his baseball career a constant physical struggle. And the sadness was from the guilt that he never said goodbye to his dying father and would never live up to his expectations.
I don't get close to people or something. I'm weird, I guess, but I need to tell them I love them.
I always had the sense that there was a sadness about you. In retrospect, was that true?
Yeah.
Travel to Mickey Mantle's hometown of Commerce, Oklahoma today, and you can still visit his boyhood home. When Mickey Mantle came up for the Yankees in 1951, it was the perfect American story. Here was a photogenic white country boy coming to the big city to succeed Ruth, Gehrig, and DiMaggio. Journalists made Commerce this perfect small-town American place where the Mick grew up. The Oklahoma kid, the Commerce Comet, had made it to the big leagues and put on the pinstripes. But in reality, for young Mickey Mantle, Commerce, Oklahoma was much different. His family was poor and worked in the zinc mines, which made them deathly ill. All of Mickey's uncles died before the age of 40 when he was young. Mickey's dad's mutt was brutal on the young kid and demanded he practice baseball all the time. Nothing he did was ever good enough. There was always another aspect of his game to criticize. At 19, he got to escape Commerce and was called up to the New York Yankees, where he had big shoes to fill.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mickey's predecessor in center field as well as in the Hall of Fame, the Yankee Clipper, Joe DiMaggio.
Joe DiMaggio hated Mickey Mantle. He hated him here in 1969 at Mickey Mantle Day, and he hated Mantle when he came up in 1951 looking to replace him. The energy of this speech showcases this beef oddly. You see Mantle in the left frame looking disdainful, DiMaggio giving the speech to Mantle looking disinterested. When they shake hands, it's very brief. Joe DiMaggio's last season, 1951, was Mickey Mantle's first. At that point, the Yankee Clipper hardly talked to anyone in the clubhouse. Why DiMaggio disliked Mantle specifically is unknown, but it probably has to do with the fact that the aging superstar was being replaced by the wide-eyed youngster. The beef came to a head in the 1951 World Series. In Game 2, Willie Mays hit a short fly ball to right center field. Mantle was playing right and DiMaggio was playing center. At the last second, DiMaggio called off Mantle, saying he got the ball. But Mantle had already run so fast that he had to stop his blinding speed on a dime. And when he did, he tripped on a storm drain that was in Yankee Stadium's outfield. Then his knee crumpled. Mantle laid on the ground for a solid 30 seconds as the game stopped and the Yankee crowd was stunned in silence. Joe DiMaggio just watched and then told him, quote, "They're coming for the stretcher, kid." It was the first conversation they had had all season, and it would be their last as Mantle sat out the rest of the series. For the rest of his career, doctors now speculate that Mickey Mantle was playing baseball on a torn ACL that happened during this incident. Mantle was in tremendous pain, and while his power would continue to develop, his blinding speed was never the same after this moment. Early in the next season, 1952, Mantle would have to deal with even more pain.
One of the things I learned at Betty Ford's, they have programs, that teaches you why you're depressed and things like that. And one of them was that I've always felt like I wasn't there for my kids, like my dad was for me.
Mickey Mantle's father, Mutt Mantle, died on May 6, 1952. He was just 40 years old. Despite Mantle's wife's pleading, Mickey insisted he go to the funeral alone. When it came time to leave the cemetery after they had buried Mutt's body, Mickey stayed behind, berating himself for never having told his father he loved him.
From Florida, a powerhouse of vitamin C. Florida orange juice is a real powerhouse of vitamin C for active people like Mickey Mantle, New York Yankees star.
The pain of Mickey's father's death and disappointment, combined with the pain of his knees, led Mickey Mantle to drink. But not like orange juice, like liquor.
I have to have orange juice with its vitamin C and energy to play my best ball.
Mickey got away with everything. He had prostitutes on call for every city in the American League. Mickey drunk drove, but if he ever got stopped by a cop, they were so thrilled to see the Mick's face that they would let him off scot-free. One time, a mistress of his claimed she was pregnant with Mickey's child, so a man on Mantle's payroll took the girl to the East River and threatened the woman that she had two choices: leave Mantle alone or this, which meant Mantle's guy was going to drown her in the river.
I've been eating K-Rose syrup ever since I was no higher than a baseball bat. Pour on plenty of K-Rose syrup.
That's a lot of syrup.
Like I do.
While Mantle was partying it up, his stats on the field also continued their prodigious pace. He won the Triple Crown in 1956, and the Yankees won the World Series in 5 of his first 8 seasons. Plus, in the summer of 1961, he was chasing history. In 1927, Babe Ruth hit 60 home runs in a season, breaking his own record of 59 and setting a mark that many thought would stand forever. By 1961, that record had stood for 34 years. Jimmy Fox got to 58 in 1932, and Hank Greenberg also got to 58 in 1938. But the pressure of going for the record got to both players late in the season, and neither could catch the Babe. By midsummer 1961, it was evident that baseball's biggest star, Mickey Mantle, had a chance to break the record. But there was another Yankee slugger that year that was putting up a valiant fight to also catch the Babe, but this star was far less known.
Hi, I'm Roger Maris. You know you can get baseball trading cards free on Post Cereals.
Roger Maris had a much stiffer personality than Mickey Mantle on camera, as you can see in this cereal commercial. Throughout 1961, he was standoffish with the media. The pressure of chasing the record really got to him, and the media did not treat him well. Who did this guy think he was, chasing the Babe's record? In September, Mickey went down with an injury, ending his chase with 54 homers, but Maris still had a shot. Now the pressure built exponentially. Every city the Yankees traveled to that month was sold out. Every question Maris got asked was a version of if he thought he could break the record. He was stuck at 60 until the last day of the season.
Fastball hit deep to right. Looking it. Way back there. Oh,
Later in life, Maris was quoted as saying, "It would have been a hell of a lot more fun if I hadn't hit those 61 home runs." Mantle, for his part, was proud of Roger. He was always proud of his teammates. When the Yankees were on the road, Mickey would take rookies to his favorite milkshake joints in each city. When a player was going through a rough divorce, Mickey offered up his apartment for as long as he needed, free of charge. The last 5 years of Mickey Mantle's career dampened his incredible legacy. He lost out on being a .300 hitter in the last few months of his final season, 1969. And after he retired, his alcoholism went from bad to worse.
1969, when I retired, I didn't feel like that I had given it all I had, or I felt like something was missing. And by that time, I was probably an alcoholic and didn't know it. It got pretty bad. People would tell me I did things, and I couldn't remember. I was not a good father, really. I mean, I was never there.
Mickey Mantle's behavior should not be condoned, but it can be understood. He was just a young kid from Oklahoma, and he inherited the coveted pinstripes with the weight of the world on him. He had self-worth issues, and there was no consequence to indulging in the excess available at that time.
I did drink a little too much or something. It kind of relieved the tension that I felt within myself, maybe because I hadn't been what I should have been.
Because you hadn't been the ball player you felt you should have been.
Or the daddy.
Over the course of his retirement, Mickey slipped further into alcoholism, eventually checking himself into rehab in 1994. There's a lot to admire about Mickey Mantle, his 536 homers, 3 MVPs, and 7 World Series rings. But perhaps most admirable was Mickey Mantle admitting that he needed help when he had already lived over 60 years without seeking it.
I had teachers have their class little kids write me letters, third and fourth graders would write a letter, say, Mickey, we're glad you went out there, I really didn't realize until I started getting those letters what I did mean to some people.
Mickey Mantle died on August 13th, 1995 from liver cancer. He was 63 years old. He wanted his tagline on the plaque with his number 7 in Yankee Stadium's Monument Park to start with one line: a great teammate. I had a hard time making this video because it was difficult to reconcile 3 different versions of Mantle that I saw when I researched him. First, there was Mantle the ball player. Then there was Mantle the alcoholic, absent father. And lastly, I discovered Mantle the vulnerable, aging man. All these combined make a very complex person. The only thoughtful conclusion I can have is from Mantle himself on how he wanted to be remembered.
I hope that people at the end will say, he turned out all right. I'm proud that I named my son Mickey. That would be nice.